Fellow Ozians, the moment has arrived. The Wicked for a Good movie is here, and I'm going to give you my review. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Go Home Ryan, and today I'm reviewing The Wicked for a Good movie. I'm telling y'all, if you haven't seen it, you're in for a real treat. This is the second entry into the Wicked movie franchise. The second and hopefully the last entry. I hope that they don't do what people tend to do when you have a lot of money that comes into a franchise and then go for the cash grab and make a bunch of sequels that don't necessarily need to be made. This is based on the original Wicked movie. This is the second part to that. This movie, it feels like, was originally split into two parts, probably joined together because it was based on the musical, in which there is an act one and an act two, right? And so they made the first movie that came out a couple years ago, and then now we've got this one. I'll just start off. We're going to talk about the good, the bad, and the wicked. Yeah, this was, I really enjoyed this movie. I had a lot of fun with it. I thought that Cynthia Erivo, Ariana Grande, Michelle Yeoh, Bowen Yang, just everybody that was on this cast, Jeff Goldblum, they all did a fantastic job reprising their characters and bringing a lot of life back to the world of Oz because, Oz is a magical place, and I feel like they brought a lot of that magic into it. We've got two new songs in here. One from Ariana Grande, one from Cynthia Erivo, one No Place Like Home, and the other the Girl in the Bubble, and both really, really good songs. Not necessarily of the same quality of the rest of the songs in the musical, but still a lot of fun, a really good time. You talk about Ariana Grande. She's just a fantastic singer. So we get The Girl in the Bubble first, and she kind of talks about her childhood in that song, and it's just it's a really good song. A lot of fun. I don't really have much complaint outside of the fact that it just isn't as thoughtful. I think it isn't of the same quality as the original songs in the musical. However, I think it does a fantastic job of just like providing some new information about the character, Galinda, and just kind of provides us a little bit further explanation, exploration into her character. And I think we kind of needed that. That was something that I felt like the second act of the musical was kind of missing when we originally watched that. Now, I'll say same thing for, No Place Like Home. It of course feels like a play on the like No Place Like Home, from the original Wizard of Oz franchise. However, I felt like it really does a great job of like capturing what's happening in that moment. Because I'm about to get into what I really liked about this, but just really capturing what's happening in the moment and really capturing what's happening like politically in Oz. And does a really good job of capturing where Elphaba exists politically in Oz and what she's doing and how she exists in the world. And so that was something that I really appreciated and was really glad to see. Really. Felt like a bit of a vibe. I was like, I could like recommend this to people and they could listen to it and they would like really get a feel of like what's happening in the movie in that particular moment. Just a good song. That kind of bleeds into like my favorite aspect of this particular movie is that if you listened to or watched any of my reactions to the trailers, I kind of said that I was really hoping that they would lean into the political in this movie, and they did. They delivered. They gave me what I wanted. I don't know who was listening. I mean, they made this movie before I ever reacted to the trailers, but like, I don't know who was listening up there. John Chu, Winnie, if you were listening, yeah, Dana Fox, you did the thing. They really leaned into the political. They really got into just like what is happening in Oz. That was something that I really, I think, had a hard time with in the musical. I expressed this before about how, there is just such a large subplot in the first half of the show that talks about like the subjugation and marginalization of animals. You can kind of, it's allegorical for, marginalized people in general. It feels weird calling them animals. I already expressed that before, but, I felt like it was an important subplot that they kind of just all but drop in the second half. That was something that I didn't really enjoy. I was like, you built it up and it was such like a driving force for Elphaba and how she radicalized herself, and then we didn't do anything with it. And this movie, in this movie they take that and they flip it on its head. They're like, no, if we're going to allude to it in the first half, we're definitely taking our time with it in the second half. And they spend a lot of time focused on the subjugation or marginalization of animals, and they show us a lot of what they couldn't show us in the stage play because they have more space to work with, because they have more world to work with, because they are in a movie and not limited to the stage. And so we get so much more of that whole narrative about the subjugation of animals, about rebellion, about revolution, and it works in a way that I wish had worked in the stage play. It was just very much needed for them to like really dive into that and to explore that further, and to give us more of that. So that was something that I really appreciated about this. Another spoiler alert, I'm about to get into like a really big spoiler here. So if you haven't seen the movie yet, maybe you fast forward away from this. I'll put some chapters so that way you can fast forward. But another thing that I really appreciated is that they kind of made some of the like implicit explicit in this movie. A big thing that I feel like was a swirling theory about the musical was that the Wizard of Oz or the Wiz is that he was Elphaba's father. We get that scene in the first movie and in the first act of the stage play where the man comes in and he's charming the wife of the governor and everything. And so he gives her that elixir, and then out comes her green baby. And so, we get some of that. And so we're kind of led to believe that the wizard is the person who did that and is the person who ultimately fathered Elphaba unknowingly. But they just like come out and say it outright in Wicked for Good. They're just like, they just straight up are like, hey, yo, he's the pappy. And that was something that I really appreciated, something that I'm really really glad they did, because it like really closes the loop on a lot of speculation, on a lot of plot holes, right? That was something that I really appreciated. I'm very glad that they did that. And now to kind of get into the things that I didn't like. One of the things that I didn't like about this movie was the fact that it can't stand alone as its own movie. This was never, I'll say, I'm okay with it, like ultimately speaking, because I enjoyed the movie regardless. But like, this isn't, I don't think this was ever meant to be split into two movies. This feels like it is the second half of the first movie. The tone is so different from the first movie. It's just such a different movie altogether, that I really wish that they had taken the opportunity to like, I don't know, I would have rather just had like the 4 or 5 hour cut. I know maybe I'm a little bit different, but it really feels like it should have just been two halves of one movie. So it really doesn't stand on its own as a movie. Like I said, I was okay with that ultimately, because I'm like, I understand that this is part of just one large piece, but for like newer viewers who may be new to the franchise, who may be new to Wicked, that may be kind of jarring, because you get that large tonal shift that is activated by Elphaba deciding to radicalize herself and leave the Emerald City and kind of go do her own thing. And that was something that I feel like that could have been handled better, just as far as like formatting and editing and all that stuff. Like maybe it just could have been one larger movie, but that's neither here nor there. Another thing that I didn't like, but was also like, again, not very grating, but just something that I recognized, was that when you have a writer who is writing a new work, sometimes they attach themselves to a phrase, or they attach themselves to like certain language or whatever, certain words that they like to use. And in this one, it was clock tick. It was like every 2 seconds. If you played a drinking game with the word or the phrase clock tick in this movie, you'd be drunk by the time like you get halfway through. They say clock tick like a lot. It may have only happened, like in reality, it probably only happened like 4 or 5 times, but they say it so often that it becomes recognizable. It's like, I'll be black in a clock tick, a clock tick. And it was like fun the first time it happened. I was like, this is great. This is great. We'll be like, oh, that's such fun language. I'm obsessulated. I'm obsessulated. And then there's clock tick, and then we get it again. Oh, I'll be black in a clock tick. Why don't you give us a clock tick? A clock tick. And it just is such like, reused language. It just happens over and over again that it becomes hard not to recognize the fact that they are using it. And it's so odd. It's so weird to me, that I wish they had like just, decided to use, like, I don't know, just found some new phrases that they could play with. I'm sure that there were some other phrases that they could think of, but I don't know. They were just attached to clock tick. That was really it. To be honest with you, that was like most of what I was upset about were those two things. Just the fact that it probably should have just been one larger project in the grand scheme of things, and the whole clock tick thing. Everything else, I just really enjoyed this movie. I had a really good time. And to get to the wicked of it, right? I just really appreciate it too that Cynthia and Ariana really embodied these characters and really brought a lot of life to both Elphaba and Galinda. Like, No Good Deed was fantastic. Elphaba, Cynthia, she has such a beautiful voice, and we saw that in the first movie, and that carries through in this movie too. It's just she does a fantastic job with all of her songs. The only song that I felt like that I've seen a lot of commentary about that people may have a bit of a problem with was the song between Elphaba and Fiyero, when they're singing to each other about how they've like found a home in one another, about how they never want to let each other go, and they're like singing from across the room from one another rather than like, just like voraciously consuming each other. And like, this movie's rated PG, y'all. I'm sorry. I was okay with it because I was like, I get it. Y'all can't be like all up on each other because y'all are trying to keep your rating. It might be rated G. I don't even know. Y'all are just trying to keep your rating. It's low. So yeah, I get why they weren't like just like attacking each other with such heat and just and vigor. But that's something that may like put off some of the people. There are a few other parts of this that I'm forgetting right now that I really enjoy too. But it was just like all in all, just a really fun movie. I really appreciated the look at Nessa and her like devolvement into like this very like evil fascistic person. Just we got some of that, and we got more of that too about how she subjugated munchkins too, and it was kind of wild to watch. I'm like, so much of this was so pertinent to now. This is a revolutionary movie. It's a political movie. It's artistic. It's beautiful, and it's just a really really great film. The only part of it is that I just wish it had been appended onto the first part, so that way we get the full narrative, we get the fun, and we get the drastic and dismal and just dramatic, right? We get everything all together. That would have been fantastic, but we don't, unfortunately, and it doesn't necessarily make it worse or anything. It just makes it different, and that's like the only part of this that I wish had been a little bit different. Just all in all, a really fun time. I had a really great time with it, but I really do want to hear what you think. Let me know if you had a good time with it too. All in all, I rated it about an 8.4 out of 10. The first movie I rated an 8.8 out of 10 because I had such a fantastic time with it. But this one, a little bit of a downgrade, but still a really, really good time. So I don't know. You let me know what you think in the comments. If you've seen the movie already, did you have a good time with it? Are you excited that we get to re-enter the world of Oz and that we're here again? Let me know what you think. We can talk about it. Do you hope that there is a mystery sequel that they come out with that branches outside of the musical and gets into new territory inspired by the books? I don't know. I don't want that, but maybe you do. And we can have that conversation too. Remember to check out my reaction to the Sunrise on the Reaping trailer. And until next time, remember to like, comment, subscribe. It's been Go Home Ryan. Later, Gators.